This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. As we're joined right now by a first-time voter. 2 years ago, when I raced into the firehouse here at Democracy Now! For the broadcast just after voting, I bumped into Mike Kimber, who I work with at Democracy Now!, as he was coming out, and I asked Mike, did you already vote? And he said, no, I can't vote because I have a record. And I said, why would that affect you being able to vote? And he said he thought it did. So I went home that day and wrote a column to find out in what states does this matter and where doesn't it matter. The fact is, if you have a record, if you've committed a felony, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't vote. For example, in Vermont, you can vote from prison. Well, today is a new day. It's Election Day 2008, 2 years later, and Mike Kimber joins us here in our Firehouse studio. Hi, Mike.
Hello, Amy. How you doing?
Good. So I saw you this morning. I ran in from voting, and you were coming out, and I asked you the same question. Mike, did you vote? Did you?
Yes. This is my first time ever voting, and I was able to vote because of your column, because through generations, I was told as long as you had a felony that you could not vote. And I wasn't told directly at the polls that, but from generation through my family and all my friends that I knew that said if we had a felony record that you could not vote. I asked 10 people this morning at this shelter, was they voting, and they told me they wasn't gonna vote because they had a felony record. And I told them they could have voted, they could have registered, because my boss had did the research and found out I can vote, and that's where I was on my way to vote.
So we're right across from the oldest mission in New York, where you also work.
Yes.
How did you register?
I just went there and registered, and I thought it was real hard, to register online. I thought it was hard, and it wasn't. It was real simple, and they sent me the card and everything, and it was so simple, and I thought it was a big, long process of doing it, but it wasn't. It was so easy, and they sent it to me. I was, like, amazed that it was just that easy to do it, because I'd never voted ever in my life. I never even tried to vote because I always thought that I couldn't vote.
So did you go with the head of the mission to register?
No, he didn't go. I went this morning.
But to register?
Yes. I went with him, and we went and registered. It was easy. It was unbelievable.
So what did it feel like? Where did you vote today?
I voted on Mott Street, 181 Mott Street.
In Chinatown?
In Chinatown, yes.
What time did you go?
I went at 5:30.
Were you first in line?
Second. I was second one in line.
How did it feel?
It felt different. I was doing something for the very first time. I don't know what kind of feeling that I had behind it. I was happy I was able to do this as being a citizen of the United States. I was able to vote. And for all this bad information that I had got all these years, I wasn't voting because of listening to other people about that I couldn't vote, and it was not true.
What motivated you this time?
Well, I really feel as anybody that stands behind George Bush is like mentally retarded. And I wanted to have a voice in this. And I wanted to vote this time,
We're also joined on the phone by Myrna Perez, author of the Voter Purges Report, an attorney with the Democracy Program at the Brennan Center for Justice. Myrna, can you talk about the rights of people who have a record, who've committed a felony, have served time? Where can they vote? Where can't they vote?
Thank you so much, Amy, for having me. I appreciate y'all calling and being interested in this topic. I'm very excited to hear about my fellow guest experience today. New York is one of the states that permits people with criminal convictions to vote, provided that they are completed their terms of parole. Probationers can vote. People who have not been actually convicted but are still in jail but are waiting conviction are also entitled to vote. Unfortunately, though, there are 5.3 million Americans across this country who cannot vote because of a criminal conviction, because of their state law. And even more unfortunately, 4 million people of them are outside of prison and are living and working in the community among us. There are two states, as pointed out, Vermont and Maine, who allow people with felony convictions to vote, and you never lose your voting rights. You can even vote in prison. But in states like Kentucky and Virginia, all people who have felony convictions are permanently disenfranchised unless the government individually approves their rights restoration. And one of the things that was pointed out, which is definitely the case in New York, is that there are even more people disenfranchised from this policy because of what we call de facto disenfranchisement, where people don't understand the laws, not only the voters themselves, but also the election officials. And so even more people than the law disenfranchises are disenfranchised. We have done a number of studies in New York, in New York State, where we've called the election office and asked them, you know, I'm on probation, can I vote? And have been told no, which is not the case. So I'm very glad to hear that there is good information out there, and I think we can and we should do better, because these laws themselves already disenfranchise a number of people, and we need to make sure that misinformation about these laws don't disenfranchise even more.
When I did the column in 2006, and I think numbers have changed somewhat, but 5.3 million U.S. citizens ineligible to vote because of felony disenfranchisement, 2 million of them African-American. Of these, 1.4 million African-American men, which translates into an incredible 13% of that population, a rate 7 times higher than in the overall population.
And if I may, Amy, I mean, one other thing that I find really disturbing is that if the current trends continue, then that means 3 out of 10 of the next generation of African-American men are going to lose their right to vote at some point in their lifetime.
Marina Perez, where are you speaking to us from?
I'm calling from the nonpartisan election protection call center. There's a number of them in New York. We are taking calls all across the country, and voters are calling in with problems that they are experiencing on Election Day and to report problems that they see other people experiencing. If
people have problems, where should they call?
They should call 866-OUR-VOTE. That's 866-OUR-VOTE. You know, we are getting a number of reports of lines being long because some machines are broken down or some polling places didn't open early enough. But what I do like to tell voters is that this is a historic election, and we should all be very proud of everybody that wants to participate. And so, you know, if there's something that seems to be going wrong at your polling station, then go ahead and say something, give us a holler, but make sure you stay in line and cast your ballot.
Well, Marina Perez, thank you very much for being with us from the Brennan Center doing election protection today. And Mike Kimber, final thoughts on this. Well, this is a first for you.
Yeah, this is a first, but I wish that information that you gave me that a lot of people knew about, because I think a lot more people would have voted that has the same problem that I had, you know, well, I thought we had. A lot of people just don't know, you know, and I honestly wouldn't have never knew. I wouldn't even have researched it, because I heard all the time that you couldn't vote until you did the research. I wouldn't have it never came across my mind to even go vote after I'm hearing this. So many people I know are just like me, and that information needs to get out where everybody should know.
Well, not only information about the laws as they stand, but of course, these laws can be changed. Thanks very much, Mike Kimber, for joining us. I'll post the voter disenfranchisement column on our website at democracynow.org.